Hi, it's Sophia, the Cycle Breaking Mom. Welcome to my channel where I talk about all things breaking cycles. So today I want to extend a plea to all parents and especially moms to please start healing your unresolved childhood wounds. Please. Let me explain. Okay, so we have children, and most of us parents, we love our children, right? We love them, and we want them to thrive, and we want the best for them. But if we have not addressed our unresolved wounding and experiences from our childhood, it will, not only does it bleed into our parenting and the way we parent our kids, but it's actually stored in our own biology and our own nervous system. And what happens is our kids will pick up our unresolved experiences through biology, through DNA, through what is called epigenetics. So it's not about love. It's more than just love. Kids need more than just our love. They need more than just us taking them to all of their activities, enrolling them in the best schools, even just like wanting the best for them, right? Kids need much more. And back in the day, no one knew this. So it appeared that maybe we fared better than maybe the kids now. And there is some truth to that because there wasn't technology. And technology is, there's a lot of good to technology, but that means that our kids are constantly being stimulated by an external source 24/7 with no breaks in between. So that is going to affect their nervous system and cause the nervous system to be overstimulated. So that's why at this point we cannot afford to not do our own healing work. So let me kind of explain. I'll give an example from my own life. So I was born to two parents who experienced extreme adverse childhood experiences growing up, and there was a lot of fear, running through their system because of the homes that they grew up in. And I ended up myself having chronic health issues. Like I came to this earth with chronic ear infections and digestive issues and pain, and just I kyphosis, where there's a curvature in my spine, and just mental distress. Just I could go on and on, right? And what happens is when when one grows up in in adversity, in a lot of adversity, the stress response is activated in the system. And that means that our brain is constantly scanning for danger, right? And it doesn't feel safe. And our nervous system is in that fight or flight constantly. And if it never, if there's never any relief, the nervous system never comes back to like that homeostasis and says, okay, we're safe now. Because if one has grown up in a lot of adversity, then they never, the nervous system never gets that memo, like, okay, danger is past, we're safe now, right? So then the person, and especially, that's why I said especially moms, if she has a lot of cortisol that's being released and adrenaline from being in that stress response for prolonged time, then the fetus can absorb all of that. Okay. And so that's what happened with me. And, my mom loved me dearly and wanted the best, and she wanted to raise her kids different than how she was raised. And, and she did in a lot of ways, but her nervous system was primed towards stress. So that's going to affect the way she shows up as a parent, right? Because if your nervous system is primed for stress, then you're going to be anxious, you're going to be hypervigilant, you're going to, sometimes you're going to lose your cool, you're going to, there's just a lot that the way you're going to show up when your nervous system is primed for stress. And then it can only be in that stress response for so long that the system kind of burns itself out and goes into like a trauma response. And then that's when, because my mom, had lots of health issues and struggles and stuff like that as well. And so if the nervous system never gets that safety, and then one is like living in survival for their whole life, and then they think that this is this is what my life is, right? And so there's no way that it's not going to affect the children. There's no way. And so I would say that if your system is in survival, then you can't fully live a beautiful, pleasurable, joyful, expansive life, because your nervous system is always like trying to put out a fire, right? And so my plea to parents is to like I said, you could be well-meaning. Like in my particular case, I didn't have a lot of adverse childhood experiences. I didn't have a lot of what you would call trauma. The things that people think of as trauma is these big events that happen, like abuse or, nothing major happened. I didn't have, like what my parents did, parents who had addictions to substances and things like that. Those are things, and violence and things like that. I didn't experience any of that, but yet all the symptoms that I had are that of a person who had trauma. And that's what got me into learning about intergenerational trauma and the effects that it has on kids of of parents who had trauma and grandparents who had trauma, because I my bloodline, I come from a bloodline of people with a lot of trauma. Now, because both my parents did make some shifts from their own childhood, that's why I'm here now. But I have struggled in pretty much every area. I've struggled mentally, physical, like I said, physical, chronic health issues. I talked about the physical when I was born. I came here, with physical illness, and then I've struggled, mentally, and I've struggled relationally, because it's like if your system is in survival, then you attract and magnetize other people that also system is in survival, and it's really difficult to maintain healthy relationships when you're constantly, scanning for danger. Your nervous system is, right? So it's like there's a lot of projecting that happens in relationships, and misunderstandings and things like that, because people's nervous systems are registering the other person as you're a threat, right? And then I even have struggled financially, because a lot of the times, if a nervous system is in survival, there can be a lot of financial struggle and strife. You definitely won't see, there's nothing is ever 100% set in stone, but it's least likely that you will see a person thriving financially and doing work that lights them up, that they're in love with, that makes their heart sing. So it's like, if the finances are there, it will come with a price. It will come with like struggle and strife, and it's not like, expansive and like abundance and contentment, right? So I've struggled in all of those areas because I was a product of intergenerational trauma that, I was a product of trauma that was never healed, which there's, no shame or anything. The information was not available for my parents, but the information is out now. And so that's what I'm here to share. I'm a big advocate for sharing about the effects of trauma and intergenerational trauma and how to start the healing process. So the first step is to have that awareness that, our childhood experiences and wounding, they don't just leave. Like, if we don't get the healing, they will be there. And then to know how do they show up in our parenting? How does it show up in us as humans in all life areas? That's the first step, is to have that awareness. And then the second step is like to want to change, to be able to say it ends with me. And I don't want my kids to have to take on breaking cycles that wasn't theirs, because hey, that's what I'm doing now. And baby, it's a lot, okay? So at least to take some of the load off your kids by starting your own journey, it will help, because my kids are benefiting from me doing my own work, okay? And then you want to start to get your nervous system out of survival, okay? So those are kind of those steps. And if you need help and support with doing that, book a consultation with me to see how I can help support you on your healing journey, at least to begin your healing journey, so that you can leave a legacy of healing for your kids, and not them having to recover from maybe your parenting, or just even if you are well-meaning and loving, but your own traumas that have seeped out and that they are experiencing through either your parenting or even just picked up in the biology, like myself. So book a session if you need support, and stay tuned, because I will be continuing to talk about intergenerational trauma healing, you know, parenting, all of those things, all things breaking cycles. All right, so stay tuned for the next episode where I talk about all things breaking cycles. Bye for now.